What is up, guys? Have you ever wondered what is the difference between the Striker and the Striker-9 in Modern Warfare 3? Probably not, but you're here anyway, so why don't we find out together? They're basically the same gun, but one is chambered in 45 ACP and the other is chambered in 9mm, which is a massive difference in real life, but when talking about video game logic, we'll have to see how they compare. First up, we have the Striker, which is a submachine gun that has been around since the beta and it's very powerful. Since then, I believe it's been nerfed a little bit, but it's still a pretty well-rounded SMG for close quarters. Although the effective damage range is very minimal compared to some of the other guns out there and the rate of fire is quite slow, but that doesn't stop this gun from being incredibly powerful. The headshot damage for the Striker is 46, with all other damage values being placed at 36, meaning in close proximity to your target it will take 5 body shots to eliminate them. Combined with the slow rate of fire, that can lead to many issues, but this gun is very accurate with minimal recoil and a very small hipfire and tac stand spread, making it even easier to use when running around in a very aggressive manner. It does struggle to compete with a lot of other types of guns in the game just due to the fact that its damage and range is so low, but that does not make it unusable. On top of all that, the movement speed of this gun is very quick all around. With a 4.9 meters per second regular movement speed, that means you're traveling just over 16 feet per second, which is pretty darn fast if you ask me. And you have a below 1/4 of a second ADS speed, meaning your ability for response in combat is much faster than many of the other options in the game. Paired with only 2/3 of the recoil compared to the other SMG it's being tested against, it will definitely give the Striker-9 a run for its money. When playing with this gun, the rate of fire made it slightly more difficult to deal enough damage before I was killed, which is mainly because of the balancing act done while coding to make it a little more fair in the overall gameplay, because during the beta, this gun was better than most assault rifles. It still felt very nice to use, and the feel of the recoil along with the cyclic sound of firing this gun added to the satisfaction factor of using it. I think with the right attachments and scenario, this gun could be a great alternative to many of the other guns out there, especially when put to the test against some of the other submachine guns. Although it may not be the best option when compared to other types of weapons, it definitely is a great gun overall, and it may fit your style of play better than the other weapons out there. Now we're going to take a look at the Striker-9. I really enjoyed using this gun. It was very smooth and handled nicely, but that was partially due to how my abilities affected it, and the negative feelings I had towards it was mainly caused by user error. But overall, this gun looks like it has much worse stats. Starting off with the damage, the headshot damage of this gun is 35, which is 11 damage per shot lower than the regular Striker, meaning it would take 5 shots to kill a bad guy even with all critical hits. And it only does 29 damage per shot on the torso. So if you don't land at least one headshot, you'll have to hit them at minimum 6 times. But thankfully it has a much higher rate of fire, which means it will take much less time to get those rounds off. The Striker-9 does have a slightly better effective damage range, allowing for it to be more useful in the average scenario when playing games. But with only a 1 meter difference, that doesn't affect much in the case between these two guns, because of the fact that there is only a 3-foot increment between which ranges this gun is operating at peak performance. And the recoil pattern of this gun is much more pronounced, with the vertical recoil being about 1.5 times higher than the Striker. The vertical recoil for the Striker-9 is over 90 degrees per second, which is a massive increase from the 58 degrees per second of the Striker, which makes the barrel raise much faster when firing those consecutive shots needed to eliminate enemies. And even the base stats for the overall gun kick is almost triple the original Striker, that being almost 49 degrees per second versus the Striker's recoil being placed at just below 18 degrees. When you look at the overall mobility and handling, you may notice that it does perform a little better in that category. Although it's not a drastic difference, it may help out when playing in a fast-paced close quarters match. The ADS speed is only 10 milliseconds faster, and the sprint to fire speed is identical, meaning there is almost no difference in the way it feels, but the overall movement speed, which I talked about earlier, is a little bit better. With all that being said, I do have a preference for the Striker-9 when not using attachments, only because it felt much smoother when playing and it seemed to perform better when I used it. But that could be due to many factors, and that is bound to change with different builds for the gun. So let me know what you think about this video and what guns you would like to see me compare next, and until next time, peace out.